Qualche anno fa avevo visto in Italia un tender di alluminio realizzato da un...
A few years ago, I saw a tender which was made out of aluminium by a boatyard known for building its boats out of steel and alloy. The boatyard was ahead of its time and market trends, but then what happened?
Per scoprirlo siamo venuti in Florida.
To find out, we've come to Miami Beach in Florida to the offices of Sea Tender. The company has an office here, but the boats are built in Italy. The style has remained the same since that first model, but the bridge and the interiors have become a lot more luxurious. And they are now built in fiberglass and in series. It's called a tender because it started out as a tender for a mega yacht. However, it is a complete yacht in itself. You can choose to colour it and furnish it however you want, and they say they are ready for any request that you can think of. It's a great space to live in, 3.8 metres by 12. And what about the cabins? The rooms below deck are not counter-moulded, but made with traditional structural supports, which means fixed walls, dunnage and ceilings on the support structures, so you don't even see a centimetre of fiberglass. The sofa in the entrance connects with the double room, both of which are on the same level. Even the backrests are all the same. It is always useful to have rounded corners on a boat. The bathroom has been finished with elastic cement, which vaguely reminds me of Venetian plaster. Look how elegant the edge of this unit is, functional but beautiful too. The company Luxury and Living is available to look after all the furnishings if you want. They make luxury furniture, extra luxurious in fact, and are licensed to famous brands like Fendi, Bentley, Bugatti, Trussardi and Baccara. Just luxury? Not really. They also stand for substance and safety. At the bow on this boat, for example, you'll find a crash box that is a space that's filled with expanding polyurethane, which will limit damage if there is a front-on crash. The summit top is fantastic. To preserve the teak from wear and tear of the mooring lines, you could perhaps add steel cable glands. There is an emphasis on looks on this boat. You realise it when you notice there are no railings around the bow bridge, and that means the mattress has no protection. However, at the same time, the fact there is no barrier, no border, makes you feel like you are suspended on the water. The outdoor eating area is below the T-top, where there are 2 kitchen units too. The whole cockpit is protected by very high walls. The gunwale is made of teak, which shows it has been built for the sea. Looking at it, I think these guys have experience, and then they have stretched it right out to the stern, with that curve, which is very difficult to do. This area is wonderful. Look how the sun deck is flush with the water. There aren't any edges here either. True, it is not the safest when you are actually sailing, but when you're not, it will be gorgeous. The stern cove is so big that you could put a berth in here. Before we set off, I want to show you a technical detail. This stainless steel bracket. I know, the weight and the cost are exaggerated, but they're like that. They only want the best. And now, let's go and try it out.
Da Miami Beach ci siamo trasferiti a downtown.
From Miami Beach, we have moved downtown and now we are on the open seas, in ocean water, to try the sea tender.
Su questo modello, che è il primo realizzato,
On this model, the first one to be made, there are two 350 Mercury Verado engines, but you could have three on here. And it's possible to have stern drive engines.
così come il cantiere vi accontenta se volete un arredamento.
So just as the boatyard will cater for your individual furnishing requests, so too for engine option. Well, I think that they can answer any request in terms of technical equipment.
Questo primo esemplare, come tutti i prototipi, ha un peso.
This first prototype, like all prototypes, is a little heavier than other boats in the series. 6,500 kilos. Not much, right?
Sì, perché è costruito per infusione di resina sotto.
That's because it's made out of vacuum-sealed resin, and they chose epoxy resin, the best in terms of strength and resistance to osmotic erosion.
Nelle fasi di ingresso in planata, l'angolo di incidenza è
Just as we're getting up to plane, the angle of incidence is a little high, and so it's better to use trim right away.
a 20 nodi è stesa sull'acqua.
At 20 knots, it's gliding across the water. The engines are doing 4,200 revs a minute, and consumption is 0.2 miles per litre of petrol.
A questa andatura, nonostante le sue dimensioni, si comporta come un giocattolo.
And at this speed, regardless of its size, it handles like a toy. It's really agile. It skids easily, which helps us to keep where we are going at the helm.
Non bisogna esagerare con la...
Don't exaggerate with the angle though, because the engines will cavitate.
Il dritto è talmente affilato che nemmeno l'acqua si
The
accorge.
turn was so sharp, the water hasn't even noticed that we are going the other way. There are two edges on the freeboard that really deflect the spray well.
Forse
Though
avrebbe...
perhaps I would have preferred a more effective windscreen.
Siamo a 5.000 giri minuto, 30 nodi.
We are up to 5,000 revs a minute, cruising at 30 knots. I agree, today's conditions are particularly good. It is a real pleasure to be sailing at this speed.
Il consumo è di circa 180 litri orari, il che significa che siamo sempre intorno alle 0,2 miglia.
Consumption is around 180 litres per hour, which means we are still around 0.2 miles a litre. I'd like to see how it turns going at this speed.
Si entra in virata a 30 nodi e
I went into the turn at 30 knots and came out at 25. Not bad.
se avete una barca così, sportiva, open,
If you had a boat like this, a sporty open, you'd want to push it to the max, no?
e subito dopo cominciare ad alzare un po' il trim.
I'm giving it a bit of trim. Now, let's see how these engines get up to maximum speed. The stern has more support now. The boat is out of the water. The angle of incidence is good for racing.
Siamo vicini ai 6.000 giri minuto.
And we're up around 6,000 revs a minute. Speed, 36.5 knots.
Qui le onde sono un po' più alte, ma
Here the waves are a little higher, but you don't feel anything.
può darsi che siate rimasti affascinati
It
dalla
might be that you've got a feel for this sea tenderline. I definitely liked it, especially when I was going fast.